Dana Homgorson is out in Houston. It seems just like yesterday he was getting visits from Bill Belichick, holding up Orange Bowl trophies, and winning double-digit games while at Houston. But the Red Bull-loving coach has been let go by Houston. I've got an article from the Houston Chronicle that details a lot of this. Let's get into it and talk about Dana Homgorson right after this word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory today across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
This is for Cameron.
What is up, guys? Welcome in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. This is another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Appreciate you guys for coming in the day after a huge win. Even though it was against a bad Baylor team, we're glad we could get to 8 wins. This is a West Virginia Mountaineers channel, and I feel like this is relevant, at least through Houston. Now, if Dana gets another job, I don't know that I'll cover that, but we all know how Dana left West Virginia. A lot of us had a bitter taste in our mouth. He left West Virginia for what was perceived a easier job at Houston. You go from Power 5 football to AAC football. And you know, it looked like early on that they were going to be at least second best to Cincinnati. But 5 years later, and it was a mixture of up and down, just like it was in Morgantown for Dana Holgorsen. I'll give my personal opinions on that after we read this article from the Houston Chronicle. But let's get into the article. It's a little bit long, guys, but I promise you it's got some good stuff in it. Just stick with me through it if you can. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. I never ask early in videos. I always forget. So please, if you can, subscribe to the channel, guys. I'm almost to 2,000. It would mean a ton to me. If you're a Houston fan, I promise you I don't bash you guys. I'll do you right. I try to be as objective as I can. Let's get into this thing. The University of Houston fires football coach Dana Homgorson after 5 seasons. On the day he was hired at the University of Houston in early 2019, Dana Homgorson toasted with the Red Bull and proclaimed, "Y'all want to go win some games? Let's go win some games." 5 years later, there was not enough winning. After years of unfulfilled expectations and continued fan frustration over the direction of University of Houston's underachieving football program, the Cougars fired Holgorsen on Sunday after going 4-8 in their Big 12 debut season. Top Houston officials met late Saturday night to discuss Holgorsen's future, just hours after the Cougars' 27-13 ending loss to UCF wrapped a third losing season in the last 5 years. Over the course of his 5 seasons with the Cougars, Dana made strides in our football program in many ways and laid the groundwork for our transition to the Big 12 Conference, Athletic Director Chris Pezman said in a statement. Ultimately, the results on the field fell below our standards of excellence. We are grateful to Dana for his efforts and commitment to our student athletes, and we wish him the very best in the future. Assistant coach Kobe Meekins will serve as interim head coach, the school said. Players were told of Holgorsen's dismissal in a team meeting Sunday afternoon. Sources said University of Texas San Antonio's Jeff Traylor, Tulane coach Willie Fritz, former TCU coach Gary Patterson, and former Texas Tech and Arizona Cardinals coach Cliff Kingsbury are among the top candidates. The University of Houston is committed to a championship-caliber football program and ensuring the success of our student athletes, Pezman said. Our search for a new leader begins immediately, and I am confident with the incredible brand support, tradition, access to prospective student athletes, and the pending opening of the Memorial Herman Football Operations Center, we will attract a very strong pool of candidates. Holgorsen still had 4 years remaining on his contract, which was extended after he led Houston to a 12-win season and the American Athletic Conference Championship game in 2021. The Cougars are 12-13 since, but Holgorsen continued to promise that he would turn around the program. "This is the only place I want to be," Holgorsen said recently as the school broke ground on a $130 million Memorial Hermann Football Operations Center. "We're going to continue to get better. We're going to get this thing going in the right direction." Top officials, amid swelling outrage among the University of Houston fan base, apparently ran out of patience to outweigh any concerns with paying a hefty buyout. Holgorsen will be owed close to $15 million, according to contract terms obtained through a public records request. Houston is not required to pay a lump sum to Holgorsen, which means the school will make monthly payments over the final 4 years. Not a bad deal for Holgorsen at all. Back in 2019, University of Houston's hiring of Holgorsen was regarded as a coup when he left a sitting Power 5 job at West Virginia for Houston, which at the time was an AAC member. Holgorsen's tenure was rocky from the get-go. After a 1-3 start in his first season, Holgorsen, with several senior starters, including star quarterback De'Aaron King, took a 4-game redshirt. In total, 35 players used the redshirt season as Houston finished the season 4-8. Following a 3-5 record in the COVID-shortened 2020 season, Holgorsen had his best season in 2021 as the Cougars reeled off 11 straight wins after the season-opening loss to Texas Tech and climbed to size number 16 in the national polls. Houston lost 35-20 in the AAC title game to Cincinnati, which became the first Group of 5 team to qualify for the 4-team college football playoff. Houston capped off just the third 12-win season in program history with a win over Auburn in the Birmingham Bowl. Picked to win the AAC, expectations that Holgorsen would later say were too lofty for the team. The Cougars stumbled to 8-5 and 22, with late collapses against Texas Tech, Tulane, and Tulsa, and a 77-63 shootout loss to SMU. That was a crazy game. With such a hefty buyout and his experience coaching in the Big 12, Houston officials opted to allow Holgorsen to remain in 2023. Before the season, athletic director Chris Pezman acknowledging there would be an acclimation period. Set expectations as to be competitive, get to a bowl game, and build from there. Even before that, Holgorsen remained defiant about his job security. In an interview with The Athletic during the spring, Holgorsen brushed off any talk he was on the hot seat entering year 5. "I have 5 years on my contract with an effing impossible buyout. So there ain't no effing hot seat in my mind," he said. Houston was an underdog at home in the season opener, escaping with a 17-14 win over University of Texas San Antonio, lost in double overtime to rival Rice. Holgorsen said the loss in the Bayou Bucket placed a little black cloud over the program as the Cougars prepared to host the Big 12 opener. Whether it was play calling, a disciplined play, a struggling offense, or underperforming defense, the cloud remained for the rest of the season. As pressure mounted for Holgorsen, Houston lost its final 3 games and 5 of the last 6 to finish 2-7 in Big 12 play. The only 2 wins came on a Hail Mary as time expired to beat West Virginia in overtime against Baylor. Under Holgorsen, Houston was 2-16 against current Big 12 members and 3-17 against teams currently in the Power 5 conference. Still, Houston into the final month of the season stretch within shot of necessary 6 wins for bowl eligibility. After beating Baylor, Houston lost to Cincinnati, which entered a 7-game losing streak and in last place in the Big 12 and blew first half leads of 14-3 and 23-9 in a loss to number 23 Oklahoma State. When hired, Holgorsen was tasked with turning around a program that had become stagnant under predecessor Major Applewhite. Applewhite's team went 7-5 and 8-5. An attendance lag was an 8-4 that didn't make a difference, Pezman said in an interview with ESPN in 2019. It was the energy and trajectory of the program. We're down to 7,000 tickets since Tom Herman left. It's not Major's fault, but that's almost $3 million a year just in tickets. So everybody's like, "How can you afford this?" I'm like, "How can I not?" At his radio show in early November, Holgorsen drew fire for his comment that the ship has sailed on Houston's 2024 signing class. Houston is currently 101st nationally, according to 247 Sports, which ranks last among Power 5 schools. Holgorsen later said that the expectation is to sign close to 30 players in the transfer portal. Ultimately, Houston officials could not stand pat and continue with the current direction of the program. At the November 17th groundbreaking ceremony, Board of Regents Chairman and mega donor Tillman Fertitta and Pezman laid out the expectations for the Cougars, and you saw what happened there. So that last paragraph to me really says a lot about Dana Homgorson, West Virginia, to the Dana Homgorson we saw in Houston. You would think Dana would want to maybe start developing players at some point, but he never wanted to. The same problems that persisted at West Virginia persisted at Houston. Low ranking recruiting classes, big transfer portal numbers. He was the transfer portal guy way before it was ever popular. And I'm talking about JUCOs. I'm talking about, guys like you just name. We can name them. Will Greer obviously is a big one. There was a ton though of if I had a list, I could read them to you. Dozens of transfers in his time at West Virginia. And to me, that's kind of like the easy way out. It's great to have plug and play guys, but I think what West Virginia is trying to do this coming year is, hey, look, we targeted guys with multiple years in the portal. They come back, and you want them to be with the program for a couple of years. These 1 year guys, I think that fad will eventually go away, and there will be times when you have to sign more than you like. But eventually, I just don't think that's going to be the way to sustain excellence in college football. It's just it's a game that's so big on continuity, especially on the offensive line and places like that. Every position group has its own little bit of chemistry. So transfers, to me, you got one plug and play guy maybe at each level. You can survive that, but even that's still a lot. Point being is Dana didn't seem to me like he liked developing players very much. Maybe skill position guys. Outside of that, I don't know. Quarterbacks, whatever made his offense good, but on defense, it was always bad. He always favored offense over defense, which obviously he's an offensive coordinator. He's going to, but man, I don't know. Personally, I just think Dana is an incredible offensive mind. You don't get visits from Bill Belichick asking you certain questions about the spread if you're not good at it. Dana is good at it. It's not play call, to me, that really makes Dana suspect as a head coach. It's the management of a program. It's the leadership qualities that he has. He's kind of a good old boy. He is, well, when he was at West Virginia, he was a Red Bull drinking, alcohol drinking, cussing, SOB. And some people like that, and I think some program may eventually he'll get picked up again, probably as a coordinator, and then maybe he'll get another head coaching job. But at the end of the day, I don't know if Dana Homgorson will ever be a great head coach. He's already into his 50s now. Maybe he gets one more shot. We'll see. It's hard to root against Dana because he is likable. But the way he left West Virginia, to me, as from a West Virginia's point of view, left a bad taste in all of our mouth. He said you couldn't win with West Virginia players. We just fielded the best offensive line probably in school history. Definitely one of the top three with West Virginia boys. So that's number one. And there's other players on the roster that contributed heavily to the success of this team, and other extended local players that are literally 5 to 6 miles outside of the state of West Virginia that grew up loving the program. Guys like Rodney Gallagher. And so to me, Dana never embraced that. I don't know in Houston how he did with all that. Maybe you Houston people can let me know. Let me know down below. Don't forget to like the video, as I said, guys. Drop a comment below. And last but not least, always as always, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate your ongoing support as we continue to cover the Big 12 and West Virginia Mountaineers football. I wish Dana the best, man. I really do. I don't want him to be unsuccessful. Obviously he's rich, but I want him to be fulfilled in life, wherever that is, whatever that looks like. I think he's a good guy. I don't always agree with the things he says or does, like that interview with The Athletic. Using your buyout as a reason to feel like you're not going to get fired obviously didn't work when a guy like Tillman Fertitta is walking around. So at the end of the day, he just didn't get it done. I don't want to go complete scorched earth on him because, you know, I don't like kicking people while they're down. But I will say, you know, as West Virginians, we never liked the piece about leaving West Virginia for, you know, it just had never happened. It doesn't happen. A sitting Power Five job for an AAC school like that was embarrassing. And then saying you couldn't win with our players was embarrassing. And then winning on the Hail Mary was just another embarrassing thing that happened this year, which was more of an indictment against us anyway. So I don't know, guys. I think that's really all I got to say about it. I wanted to get on here and detail kind of how I felt about the situation a little bit, talk about it, and let you guys talk about it too. Let me know what you guys think, West Virginia fans. How do you feel about Dana? Are you glad he's fired? Are you pissed you don't get to see him in Morgantown next year, which we're not even going to play them for another year, actually? We've got to take a year off from that. And I wonder who the next head coach is going to be, guys. You got some big names being thrown around there. I think Gary Patterson would be a name to look at for this. I think he fits that role great. I think he's probably learned a lot of the Sarkisian, especially in how to build a roster, maybe, especially on the offensive side of things. We'll see how that goes. Be monitoring this situation, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Keep coming back, guys. I promise you, we'll try to keep the content rolling even in the off season here. This has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. This episode is over. I'm out.
This is for Cameron. Tim Kim.